welcome to weekend number 5 here with your weekend gardener. We have made some very significant growth progress this past week, and I have got some things to show you guys today. So the green beans for now are at bay. We just had a second harvest this weekend, and even more this time around. They're still producing. We got a lot of rain this week, so there are more to come in for sure. Tomatoes are doing alright. Getting a little spindly up toward the top because they're not getting too much sun due to the ornamental corn getting so massive. But I'm not upset. You can always top them, cut the heads off, and the vine will continue to grow and strengthen, and the fruits will also get very, very nice. Cucumbers aren't doing too well this year, but we finally got a couple down here. Say they're about 6 or 7 inches long, maybe about an inch in diameter or so. They're the only two that I see. The plants are still getting eaten every time they grow outside the fence here. Got quite a few flowers though, so we'll see what happens. And the corn plant that I had to tie up last week actually managed to mostly straighten itself out. I've only got it tied on the one side now, here. And it's grown up strong, just like its brothers. Getting some tassels here on some of our taller plants. That one's a moderate size. We'll easily produce 1 to 2 solid ears at least, I'm thinking. And some of these taller ones now are just starting to form tassels, even this one here. I mean, that guy's about 7.5 feet right now, so I'm projecting at least 10 feet out of these tallest plants. Well, would you look at this here? This is basically my compost pile, just where I would throw any weeds that I pull or foliage that I clip from any plants. But this gourd here just took off. I think it was one of the plants that I pulled early on from the patio bed here. But yeah, it just re-rooted itself and started growing. Doesn't have any female flowers yet. I don't know if we'll actually get anything out of it in time, but these gourds, I mean, they're like miniature pumpkins, so they mature very fast. So we could definitely still get something out of this vine. I just think it's miraculous that it started growing back here in this, I mean, utter garbage of a plot otherwise. So now onto the patio bed. The gourds have just been going crazy. As always, it's been a struggle to keep up with suckering them. But you can see we've got a bit of mildew here. I've been keeping it at bay, at least so I think. I mean, none of this stuff has been affected, or hardly at all. I'll show you guys what I use to treat that here in a second. But I topped these tomato plants. They were getting way too tall for their stakes and spindly, so... But now the vines have gotten quite a bit sturdier. This one I topped last week and it's gotten a bit thicker, and its fruits are doing very well. It's got a few more sets here. Unfortunately, it looks like we got some early blight on this one. Yeah, you see Lance over there. Sorry, I couldn't focus on the tomato. Got some early blight here. Something I rarely experience, but I just noticed it. But back to the gourds. We have significant fruit setting now. This one is fresh. Flower just popped off of it, just shriveled up. This one just got pollinated yesterday, I believe. Saw the bees going crazy around here, and they're like back to back too, which is pretty cool. You usually don't see fruit sets on pumpkins or gourds or squash like this that are just one right after the other on the same vine. We've also got something developing a bit further down on the same vine, and another one here. And this is the one that's been growing for a bit. Colors are starting to come in on it very nicely. We've got this one up here, which is one of my favorites. These winged type gourds that are two-tone, and they get these nice fins on them. You can kind of see it's really tiny though, and they get a little, you know, lumpy too. The sunflowers are very, very tall. I want to say at least 10 feet, 10 or 11 feet. They're starting to bloom now. I'll get a shot of that really quick. It might be hard to see the color right now, but I thought these were lemon queens actually as of yesterday. The petals looked like a very pale yellow. Now they look fairly orange. So I'm not quite sure what variety this might be, but they're starting to open now, which will attract a lot more pollinators to these gourds. I also just wanted to show this off really quick. This is the gourd that was growing here for about 3 or 4 weeks. Just harvested it yesterday. Pretty early, but they weren't setting much when this guy grew, so we should still have plenty for the fall season, and this will still be preserved. I've also got this vine here trained onto the railing of my patio here, so that should be pretty cool. It's also got a fruit set on it that was just pollinated yesterday. Same variety as the one you see growing there. Now this is what I like to use to treat powdery mildew and any other fungi that you might see developing on your foliage. This liquid copper fungicide by Bonide, or however you'd say that. You can get this at pretty much any garden center, even Walmart I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it ran me about $10. But this will last you a whole season, and especially if you don't really experience too many fungi, then it'll last you even longer than that. But yeah, I just like to take a nice application every couple of days. It keeps it at bay at least, and what it's really meant for is, for preventative purposes. Like on these leaves, I've been keeping them pretty clean just every couple of days, especially after it rains. A lot of moisture evaporating through your soil and through your foliage, especially if it's very dense like this, will promote mildews. So just something I like to use to try to keep that under control. Because what will happen is this mildew will slowly eat your foliage alive. It will just eat it away and it'll rot. And it'll eventually get to your vines. Hopefully it doesn't get that far, but this is why mildew is very, very ugly to see on your gourds, squash, cucumbers, pumpkins, whatever it might be. So yeah, that's it for this week, guys. Like, subscribe, comment. Take care.